Hey there, everyone. It's Michael Damon back with you with another episode of Stand Up and Shine and Shill, a program that I put together around starbeam.one where I check in with you on a monthly or semi-weekly basis, depending on how I feel, in an agile stand-up format where we talk about what I did, what I'm working on, and any friction points that I've encountered. And one thing I want to mention here, I haven't really done this a lot, but these are QR codes here if you want to see the project, if you want to try them out. I'm not sure actually people use them, but they look kind of cool the way that I have them now, so they'll probably stick around. But if you actually want to try them, they are QR codes, and they'll take you to the project and to my Twitter profile, I believe, if you want to contact me. All right, let's begin here. Okay, some quick program notes here, and I almost want to put another program note that things are much better now than they were last month. Uh, Although it really couldn't get much worse, it feels, but I'm sure it always could get worse, sort of thing. But yeah, kind of it is better, but and we're going to talk about that. Kind of just wanted to this is sort of like a major, feels like a major event now after 2 years of a pandemic. And it's still kind of questionable at this point, unfortunately, because pandemic's still there, and I'm watching the COVID scores to actually kind of decide if I'm going to go there. But there is an East Lansing art fair that's happening on the 21st and 22nd, actually. And so I'm just kind of putting that on the radar. If you're in the Michigan area and Lansing area, you might see me out and about, just kind of striking up some conversations and kind of getting a feel for this art fair, because I think it would be kind of cool to actually have a booth there next year, potentially. So that's happening. And then June 7th is my birthday. And I know that I've been last time in our last session talking about, goals, which are looking kind of precarious at this moment, but I'm circling a friends and family alpha. So back in February, when I announced this, it was basically a preview. It's been a preview since. And if you, even now, when you visit the application, it is a preview, and it states that, and it's gotten nowhere, right? It's actually kind of been like a friends and family type of deal, because there's no money. It's all fake money, right? You can't actually put money in and out. And so the only people I've been interested in are people that I know. And even then, that's been kind of tenuous. So it's been kind of difficult to get any sort of traction. And that's kind of nice because there's just been so many fires. But starting in June on my birthday, I'm looking at doing a friends and family alpha where it's just really simple, right? It's just friends and family, exactly what it says. And I'm going to be turning on the faucet, the real faucet, with real money, with PayPal and Stripe, hopefully, if everything is put together appropriately. And it's just going to be really basic, I'm selling my art and just getting, just starting off at the ground level. So that's what I have right now circled for June 7th, and I just want to let you know, kind of get that out there. And then also there will be I'm going to be doing another, talking about doing a monthly or doing a semi-weekly, is that the next, I'll be doing another one of these in 2 weeks. That's not a bullet point there. I probably should have put that there, just kind of round things out. But yeah, in 2 weeks, because it's semi-weekly, there's 5 weeks in May. And so when that occurs, I'm just going to do 2 weeks total for the month. So it's going to be this week and then 2 weeks from now. And there won't be a demo today. I will not be shilling, even though it's my favorite part. But we will be doing that in 2 weeks, because everything's going to hopefully be done by then. I only have very few parts right now done. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of context here with the program notes. Let's move on to the dashboard. It's really nice to be doing these. I have to say, I really enjoy doing these when I actually get around to doing it. Once a month is probably a good schedule. I'm, actually, 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I could probably do another one. I just didn't have anything done because of all the fires. But yeah, I do enjoy these, and it's definitely going to be a monthly thing, if not bi-weekly or semi-weekly. I guess it's probably more appropriate to saying that, because you got 5 weeks. And I think, if it's 5 weeks and then I do 2 weeks and then that's just 1 week, it doesn't make sense. So just rather just kind of keep it semi-weekly. So dashboard, the whole point of this is to kind of show you that it actually works, because last time it was not working, and it's working again, and kind of showing you, and also kind of get into the habit of doing this, because right now it looks really pathetic. There's not a lot of activity right now because I haven't been again, it's just preview, and I'm learning a lot from that, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, sort of when you start out a project, you're like me, it's like you want to be really protective of it, and then you find out that no one cares, and it's kind of actually liberating in that sense where you really don't have to be that protective about it, and in fact you can just be the opposite. And I was actually, when I first started this, I was going to be more protective, where everything was behind like an authentication point where you have to sign in. And I've kind of done that in the past, and I haven't had much success with that. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I just went ahead and just did this, just kind of throw things out there and just see just see what happens. And that's kind of the whole point of being an entrepreneur, right? Is to do things to see kind of how things treat you and how things respond, and kind of face your fears sort of thing. And that was kind of like a fear. It's like, well, what if everyone jumps on? Well, no one jumped on. So it's kind of a good thing too, because there's a lot of fires, like I mentioned. So getting back to the point here is this dashboard was completely broken last time, I believe, and the visitors was what was breaking as the seek. We'll get into all the things that are working now. So a lot of things that are working now, and it's actually, once you see the friction points, you're going to be kind of amazed, like I was when I went through it this morning. But getting back to the point here with the visitors, I'm pulling it from a seek query, and it's also why it's different from everything else, because I'm capping it to a month, because I don't want to do all time. Kind of going through all my seek logging. I don't want to go through my entire log, as time goes on. That's going to be kind of demanding. So I'm just going for the past month, and there you have it. There's only been 14 connections. These are signal R connections that are connecting to starbeam.one, and that's what that is. And again, not really impressive right now, but hopefully as time goes on, that will change. And kind of just all zeros right now. I haven't been doing any sort of marketing, and just kind of getting kind of. We'll talk about what I did next, but it's kind of going through and just just kind of showcasing. Really the highlight here is the visitors, and that's working now. So all right, let's move on to what I did. All right, yes. So I kind of went through my Ralph memes, and I haven't seen this one before, and I was just like, it's perfect for what I've been thinking, because there's one where he's on a bus and he's just like, I'm in danger, or there's a lot of Ralph memes, but I'm not sure if I'm using this one appropriately, but that's the one that fit for me, so I'm using it, and it's what I've been thinking and what I've been feeling here for the past 2 weeks, and just dealing with Azure. Putting out all the fires. You had the Seek server go down, and that was just a whole challenge in its own right. And then we had Azure Ledger, which is blocking deployments and in 2 environments, and so, or actually all 3 environments. And so I just had to go through that. And, the good news is now I feel like I'm an Azure engineer, right? I know a lot. I know everything I need to know about Azure, and there isn't a lot that I feel uncomfortable with anymore. And I no longer really have that feeling of I need to hire someone to take care of this for me, sort of thing. And I'm that person, right? I have become that person. And so that's kind of what that meme suggests. And I kind of wanted to point that out. And that's what I did, putting out all these fires. And I kind of want to send out a shout to Data Lust with the Seek server, and Nick Bloomhart. Appreciate all of your patience and understanding with putting up with my grumpy McGrumpy face, as I call it, and just all my impatience, really just a last straw sort of thing. But now I know how to stand up an Azure container instance, and just a part of knowing a little bit more about Azure and all the things that are necessary. I own it all, right? I'm very comfortable with it. A really good understanding of everything. So kind of getting into DevOps 3, version 3, because last time I think we talked about this was version 2. I went through again and rebuilt everything, and because with the database, this is like, well, I'm going to go through the database. That's going to take me going through and sweeping all the data, which I preserved. All the data is still there, but I had to go through and rebuild the database and preserve the data, which was a trick. That was really involved. So I learned about backpacks, and I finally got that all squared away. So just a lot of work in Azure. And again, feeling comfortable with that. But kind of moving on to the last feature here. Last point is a feature that I worked on, and that is the preview files, right? So we want to have the ability to upload files and have these preview files where people can show what the product's about. And this all started with uploading videos, and it introduced all these different problems, but we now support videos, and I'll kind of get into what I'm working on next, and just getting into the ability to upload assets. Kind of poked around in there, and there's a lot. Again, this is the stuff that I started with 2 years ago, because this is the stuff that needed to be there, right? It needed to be done at the very first thing, and so now I'm revisiting that code, and I just took an axe to it, and so it's so much better, and the file uploads are a lot better, and I'm going to be demonstrating that not this week, but next week, when I kind of do a whole story on the preview files. So so that's basically the only feature that I got on, putting out a lot of fires and working on DevOps 3, and now let's move on to what I'm going to be working on. Okay, what am I doing? So getting back to the preview fields, right? And I kind of keep going back to my trusty CD here from Moby, and traditionally, when you went into a CD store or a record store, there's always a product, right? And getting acclimated back to my camera here. The product is something that you couldn't see or, touch or feel, right? It was always packaged up and you couldn't see unless you purchased it. And that is the model that I am carrying on here in a digital way. So that's kind of how that works. Is we want to have a way of saying, here's a preview of my items, either an image or an audio, if it's an audio track, or a video, right? Like doing something like this, which is what I have in mind for my first product. I'm not going to make a habit of it because the first product I think is really special. Kind of give you a little preview there is that, it's been 10 years in the making because it's a vision that I had about 10 years ago when I was in the Seattle area, and it's been stuck with me since. And so I think a video is appropriate for that, but I don't intend on doing that a lot, but I know a lot of people will appreciate doing that, and having that. And so what we're going to be doing there for preview, for these preview fields, is making it so that we host it, we manage that, or you can just point to a link. So if you point to a YouTube video that already exists, we can use that, or an image that already exists, you can use that as well. And that's how that works. And so you can do that again for images, audio, and video. And so that's next here. I'm hoping to have that done this week. And if things go well, that will occur. And moving on from there is the creation process. I want to make it easier to just really create a product, because right now, again, getting back to this is the first thing that I built 2 years ago. It works, but it's probably a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. I want to make it so it's just, you just upload a few files, and then maybe, with these preview files, you put those there too, and then you're done. And then you upload it, and then boom, you've got your new product that is available for sale. And that's the next task there. And then one thing I want to mention, this is marketing research, right? So that's kind of getting back into Facebook. And I know that I hated Facebook, and I'm kind of regretting that now, because there's a lot of cool things about Facebook, right? It's just one of those things where you kind of learn to love the things that you hate, or like the things that you hate, and kind of explore why you hate them. And, life is what you make of it. And with Facebook, there's all these groups that are out there with like poetry groups in Michigan, right? And that's kind of like my new direction. That's my new strategy, is to make everything Michigan based, right? And I want to, just because this is a made in Michigan product. I'm made in Michigan, and I was born in Michigan, and it's just something I'm proud of, and it's just something that I feel an affinity and a natural affinity to. And that's kind of my strategy now, is to be like, well, what is in Michigan already? What artists are in Michigan? And it turns out there's a lot that are out there that could possibly be interested in starbeam.one. And that is my new strategy. And that's what I've been doing, is this marketing research. And I've already found a few artists, and I've already connected with a few artists, and it's kind of really cool, right? And so that's kind of a thing that I'm going to be continuing here. That's like my new strategy to be building upon. And so that's a task here that's not mentioned in the task list there, but the kind of going through kind of the inverse. There are some tasks that are mentioned there in the Excel spreadsheet that I don't have listed as bullet points here. And kind of mentioned I'm going to be adding PDF support, or more like a book format. So I have a couple friends who are writers, and they just produce books, and they do them in PDF. And so I'm thinking that they won't be the only ones. And so I'm going to be adding the PDF support there to kind of have the book. So that's going to be, let's see if I can get them all here as images. Then you've got your texts, and then you've got your audio files, and then you've got your illustrated text, which is my baby. That's the one that I'm going to be selling product as. Then you got, did I say videos? I don't think I said videos yet. That's what I'm adding now, videos. And then we got books. So there's going to be 6 total products that you can, or templates that you can use to produce product. And hopefully I'll have this all done here in the next few weeks. Actually, by the next, in 2 weeks for the next Stand Up and Shine and Shill, I'll be able to shill that for you. So, okay, let's move on to the next slide here. Okay, kind of the main event here, and I feel like I've just been talking so much and just kind of catching up with all the things. This is kind of what I want to do it semi-weekly, because I feel like I won't be talking so much. But look at this, right? This is a sort of a main event, right? I just went through it this morning, and every single one of these, which I showed last time, and I was so frustrated, all of them are fixed. All of them are addressed in one way or another, and I am like amazed. I'm beyond amazed, and I'm almost wanting to say goodbye to Harold, but I'm not going to tempt fate that much. But we're just going to kind of quickly go through tooling. Got a new preview. Everything's so much better there. There's just a shout out to N. Taylor Mullen. You've been such great help just a morale booster and a lifesaver almost. I don't want to joke about that, but it got pretty dark there for me for a while there. But you helped out so much, and the tooling's so much better, and it's just so awesome to know that someone cares there. And just and that's the other thing too, is I kind of mentioned this, is that not a lot of people are really communicative on GitHub or just in general with social media. And N. Taylor Mullen is just he reminds me of me. He's just someone that lets you know, like you're going to get a like, and you are going to get a response, and you're going to be very dynamic, going to be very invested. And there's very few people that are like that. And you'll see them out and about maybe with Twitter, but just the general sense and feel that I get just being on Git, not a lot of people are really responsive, and it kind of irks me, right? It's kind of difficult to get that feedback, and I know everyone's really busy, and I try to be, I try to keep that in mind as well. But there's here we are, NTML, and thank you again. There's just very few people that are like you, so again, just thank you for all your assistance there. Debugger went away with this past preview, and it's just so amazing. It's like one of those things where no one's going to catch this. No one really sees what's happening, even though I'm recording these things, and no one's going to get it. No one's going to understand. And there's just gripped with fear, gripped with just an uncanny amount of fear. But it's fixed. It's no longer there. And moving on to the big one, right? And this has been hounding me for over a year now. This DMP files, it's fixed. Nicola. I'm not sure exactly how I pronounce your name still, but thank you so much for your help and assistance there. And so how this got fixed was I ran into another bug. I ran into another problem with Visual Studio that resulted in a deadlock. And so it was reproducible. So most of my deadlocks, in fact, all of my deadlocks have been random. They haven't been reproducible. There's nothing that I can do that to completely, they just happen on occurrence because I think I'm just taxing it so much. But here I found one where you could reproduce it just by copying and pasting text. And it was such a gift because now I was able to say, hey, Nicola, try this out. Does this work? Are you able to reproduce this? And sure enough, I was able to reproduce it and fix the bug after a year of me hounding and having to deal with it, right? And it's not just me. A lot of people, every time that this happened, I was pointing people to this issue, and I was just like, hey, this is a known issue. We really need to get this fixed. And now it is, and I am just so relieved. Azure, moving on here. I'm really, it's been a year now, so I have to really appreciate that as well. Azure, not a lot of problems there. Just running into support. That was mentioned last time, and now that's no longer an issue. I'm feeling really comfortable with Azure now. It's still slow, though. I still feel, I'm really scared to run into any sort of major issues with Azure because of just the problems I experienced with their support. But for the most part, I'm feeling much better. Okay, so moving on from Microsoft, all those are fixed, right? And it's just sort of like, whoa, will I even have one of these slides next time because they're not there? So moving on from there, we've got OAuth 2. That was fixed, or that was addressed by a member there, and we got that addressed to where it was actually a problem that I encountered with Twitter when I first started with starbeam.one. I set up a Twitter account, and then I put its start date or its birthday the day that I started. Well, it turns out if you put your birth date on Twitter under 18 years of age or 13 years of age, you get suspended immediately, which is kind of inconvenient. You think you would get a warning, but as soon as you set your age to 13, you get a suspended account. And I should have thought of this, right? I should have been Abraham, I think his name is. He suggested this on the link, and just much appreciation to the Twitter developer forum out there. They suggested this, and I was like, oh, of course I did this myself. I should have thought of this, but now I have a way of consistently reproducing this issue, which is what happens when someone, well, it might not be a problem now that Elon Musk is purchasing Twitter, right? But I'm sure it will still be a problem because it already has been reported on the forums there. But, what happens when you get suspended and you now want to use starbeam.one to withdraw your cash, right? You can't because your account is suspended. So now we need to have a way of re-authenticating to reconnect you, right? So if you've got an email or you use your two-factor authentication, I think we'll be able to use that. So it's still I really wish there was some way of getting like a built-in way of handling that, but we'll figure that out. So we have that, and then kind of just moving through these, right? So we've got that Seek server that's fixed. And then SQL Ledger, everything is fixed now. So I do have some friction points, but they're not anywhere to this. Maybe that's what I'll do next time and be like, well, I'm kind of reaching towards the bottom of the barrel here. So now I'm going to start putting these other issues that I have. All right, so now let's move on to effectiveness level. All right, effectiveness. Man, I'm just chatting up a storm. I feel like my voice is already running out because I'm only like talking once a month now. Everything else is through email and chat. Okay, so effectiveness level is, this is actually probably the best, I think this is the highest score that I've gotten. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the highest I've been since I've started these. And, I feel much more effective than I was, which last time I think it was 1.5 or 0.5. I think it was 1.5. And 5.5 now where, it's better and it's not exactly bad, but I'm not really like yesterday. Yesterday is a good example, right? Like I just basically did analysis around user interface and just kind of really thinking about that. And, it wasn't anything like I was anticipating. Like, oh, you need to have different files, right? There's different categories. It's actually a bidirectional problem, right? Or a multi-dimensional problem. And you've got your 3 different file types, and then you also have 2 different ways that they can be stored, right? So there's basically like six dimensions here, if you want to think of it that way. So you've got, for images, or videos. This is where I got the idea, right? So videos can be hosted. We can manage it. We can host it, or they can be hosted on YouTube, right? So they can be local or they can be remote, and that's across all 3 file types. So that's 6 different dimensions, and I wasn't really anticipating. Now I need to present that to the user. I need to make that easy for the user to consume and navigate. So just things like that, where it's like, oh, and then there's that morale, like, ugh. Okay, I wasn't anticipating this. Now I'm already behind schedule. Now I got to think about that and kind of deal with that. So, okay, so that's sort of like why I'm not like a 7 or an 8, because things are better. It's more like a smoldering mess right now instead of a raging fire. So that's kind of where I'm feeling. Hopefully next time you see me, it's a little bit higher. Man, I talked up a storm. So we got... this is, I'm still in kind of pandemic mode. So, and it's 2 years of training. I don't think I'm going to get out of it much in any time quickly. So, this is like my one time in the month to kind of like, hey, hello, fellow human. How's it going? Kind of round out here. Appreciate your time. I know it's 22 minutes, and there are people that are watching every single minute here. So thank you so much for your time, for your interest. It's just it's been a slow time here with a preview, and I'm hoping here in the next month we're going to start ramping up a little bit and start onboarding people. And I think once we start onboarding artists and we start getting, I think I've already made a few connections, and I'm already getting that feeling that once we start getting these artists on board and they start recommending people to purchasing things, and then people start realizing, hey, if I purchase this, I can resell it at a later time at a higher price, sort of thing. It's going to start gaining traction. So I'm not too worried just yet. It is kind of worrying that put so much effort into getting the word out there and not getting far with it, but we're not selling anything with actual value yet, so we gotta look at both sides of the token. But anyways, thank you to everyone who has watched this, and for all of your likes and your subscribes. We're at 7 users now, 7 subscribers on YouTube, which was not anticipated. So I'm definitely a big fan of that. Definitely appreciate that. And thank you very much. Until next time, which should be in 2 weeks, stay bright out there.